Thank you for joining us on this episode of Common Grounds. We're here today with a number of leaders here from Macomb County. In addition, we have Moms Demand Action, and we're talking about an initiative that we have going on here in June where we're going to be giving out free gun locks across Macomb County here, and we've got community leaders to be able to discuss that, Moms Demand Action to be able to join in with us. So thank you so much, and looking forward to a great, robust conversation. All right, so our first piece here, we're going to dive in with Janet John, who is our co-leader of Moms Demand Action here in Macomb County. So Janet, can you tell us a little bit about who Moms Demand Action is and what your, what the goal is of this group does?
Sure, Shannon. Thanks for having me today. Moms Demand Action is a grassroots movement of Americans fighting for public safety, measures that can protect people from gun violence. We help to pass stronger, sensible gun laws and work to close the loopholes that jeopardize the safety of our families. We also work in our communities and with our business leaders, such as those here today, to encourage a culture of responsible gun ownership. We promote Be Smart, which is an educational program to reduce the number of shootings that occur when guns are not stored securely. We know that gun violence is preventable and are committed to doing what it takes to keep families safe. We also recognize National Gun Violence Awareness Day, which is the first Friday of June. We honor survivors with our Wear Orange weekend, held the first weekend in June. This year, Moms Demand Action will be celebrating Wear Orange at each of our county's gun lock giveaways.
Thanks, Janet. I just want to say thank you so much for the work that you and the Moms Demand Action does. It's so very important. Gun safety in general, obviously, is just important to our community, but particularly to some of the violence that has plagued our education system here across America. Obviously, we know of the violence that's happened here within the state. It's extremely important that we have groups like yours who just do tireless work to make sure that we're getting out there, we're communicating, we're educating, and we're working on prevention. So thank you for all you do, and thank you for the group's efforts here across Macomb County.
Thank you, and we certainly appreciate the help of everyone here and all of the community leaders. So thank you for bringing us together.
Absolutely. Thank you. So now we're going to talk a little bit about some of the leaders that are here today and a little bit of the things that they do within their community and why this was important for them. So I'm going to start here with Hal, Warren City Councilman, and just dive in and tell us a little bit about yourself, Hal, and who you are, some of the efforts and why you came out today.
Sure. Well, as a city councilman for Warren, last year I had a gun lock giveaway. And I think that brought me to the attention of some of the other people in the room. And I'm happy to support all the efforts we can. If we even prevent one tragedy, that would be awesome. And we're going to prevent a lot of tragedies and make things a lot safer in Macomb County. If you ask me what made you want to be part of this initiative, for instance, I would say my father and uncle were military vets in World War II. They taught us the rules of gun safety, and I've read what happens when people don't follow them. They shoot themselves while cleaning the firearms, or they leave them out where a kid can grab them and then maybe shoot themselves or shoot another child. And the gun laws at the state level now mean that if an adult leaves a gun out where a kid can grab it and use it, and the kid does, then the adult is responsible. And so a simple preventative thing is to use a gun lock. Then if you need the gun for practical defensive purposes, you could just unlock it. But a kid can't just grab it and use it and hurt themselves or hurt another kid. So this is really good stuff. Also, in my family, my mom was out at our family farm in St. Clair one night, and my cousin shows up from Dallas late at night without telling my mom that she was coming. My mom almost shot her. Blew her head off with a pistol. So we've been very cautious about guns ever since.
Thanks, Hal, for being able to really take this as a personal component for yourself, and something that we all should be able to, to really talk about is that there's I'm sure a number of us, if we think back in our own lives, there's very personal circumstances that we have that we probably could call and say this was a close call, and the prevention, the efforts that we can put around being planned, being very purposeful, and being safe can really help us stay away from those close calls. So thank you so much for sharing your personal experience and sharing why you're here today and being a part of this initiative. So thank you so much.
It's a total pleasure, Shannon. Thank you so much for taking the lead on helping to organize these events and this production.
Thank you. And then we're going to move here to Michael Howard, County Commissioner here for District 12. So would love to be able to just hear some more insights from yourself as to why you're a part of this initiative.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon, for bringing us together. My name is Michael Howard, Macomb County Commissioner, District 12. So I represent 12 Mile to 8 Mile, DeQuinter to Hoover. This, for a lot of reasons that were already spoken, this initiative is very important. The first time I ever came in contact with a firearm, I was at someone's house and I dropped my PlayStation 2 controller on the ground. And I went to reach under and grab it, and I reached under the couch and my finger was on the barrel of a shotgun. Now, thankfully, it wasn't on the trigger, and thankfully that firearm did not go off, but it definitely was not secured, and I was about 12 years old. I went on to go into high school and was in the Marine Corps ROTC and was on the rifle team there. And so learned the fundamentals of a firearm and how to shoot in marksmanship, and actually am a competitive marksman. And so I'm a gun owner that owns multiple guns. And so this initiative is just helping reinforce the basics that every gun owner knows, that we're supposed to secure our firearms, that we're supposed to protect our community. And unfortunately, in the city of Warren in the last several years, we've had 2 incidents where a child got hold of an unsecure firearm, and thankfully one of them survived, but tragedy broke out. And so as it was already mentioned, if we can prevent one tragedy, as a father of 3, I have a 7, 5, and a 3-year-old, my guns are secure, and if we can help prevent another child being harmed, that's the goal.
Thank you, Michael. One, I want to say thank you to being here today, but secondly, thank you for helping be one of the co-leaders and being able to put this effort across Macomb County is extremely important. I really appreciate what you really spoke about here, which I think is really important to be able to drive home for our listeners, for our greater community in Macomb County here in Clinton Township. It's not about saying you can't have a gun. It's not saying that we don't want individuals to be able to utilize them, have them. It's certainly, you're right. It's about gun safety. It's about safe, basic practices that individuals who are gun owners, should be practicing and practice, and I think many do, and that's fantastic. And we want to make sure that the education around safe, gun safe practices just continues to spread and be reinforced, because we want to minimize. We don't want anyone to be harmed. We don't want anyone to have to go through close calls or unfortunate accidents, because sometimes you can't come home again after certain incidents when they happen. So I really appreciate you bringing that up and how important it is to realize that gun safety does not mean no guns. What it means is that when you own a gun, that you do safe practices, the basics, to make sure that yourself and the people around you are safe. So thank you for emphasizing that. Spencer Calhoun, Mount Clemens City Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, Shannon. My name is Spencer Calhoun. I'm a city commissioner in Mount Clemens, and we have a really wonderful community of about 15,000 people. We're the county seat. One thing I love about being a local leader is that we have a chance to take on issues like this. A lot of people see gun safety or gun violence prevention or other issues as federal or state issues. And to a degree, when it comes to making the laws around that, their role is extremely important. But us at the local level have an important role in our communities as leaders and as neighbors to ensure that we're keeping our community safe, that we work with our law enforcement partners to ensure that everyone, no matter how old you are, no matter what your situation is safe. And so I think that this gun lock giveaway event is extremely important for our community because we want to make sure that everyone who has a firearm in the home is not just following the laws that are out there, but that they are taking an approach to safety that not just protects them, but it protects those in their household, it protects their neighbors. So I just want to thank Commissioner Howard and Hal and you, and of course Janet and you, Chief, for coming together to put together this important program. I think it'll be great for our community and for our county as a whole.
Thank you, Spencer. Appreciate that. We also have here with us Chief of Police over in the city of East Point. And so we're just blessed to have you out here, one of our law enforcement leaders here within Macomb County, and just like to be able to hear a little bit from your perspective, you joining us today.
Thank you, Shannon. And again, thank you for having me here. Thank you for the invite to be here today with such a wonderful group of people. I've known, Mr. Howard for a long time, and he's just a sensational man. But on to what we're talking about, and, I think it comes to two words. One is responsibility, the other is safety. I'm a gun owner. Obviously, I carry one every day, for the job that I do for work. And unfortunately, in law enforcement, I've been the chief of police for the last few years, now in East Point, but I've been in law enforcement for 33 years. And I've seen a lot of tragedies in a single moment that can turn, everybody's life upside down because we didn't take a safety procedure and we didn't take the responsibility of owning a firearm seriously. I myself, with the guns that I own, I'm one of those that's much more paranoid probably than everybody else, but not only do I use gun locks on every one of my guns, I also have them locked in a gun safe. With multiple locks on that. So I go even one step further, which I wish everybody would be able to do. Gun safety is something that has to be treated seriously. We have to take our responsibilities as gun owners very seriously so that those incidents aren't likely to happen. In the city of East Point, we take it one step further as well, and we have gun locks available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at our police station. We always have a supply on hand, and they're free to anybody that needs one because, again, it's all about doing our share to keep our community safe.
Thanks, Chief. I appreciate you being able to kind of bring that home of one, what you're doing in the city of East Point, which I think is fantastic. But in addition to that, what you do personally, through your protocol to keep yourself and the people around you safe. And so I appreciate the examples that yourself and Michael are setting in that regard, because I think it's extremely important for people to know that it's one thing to talk about gun safety, but it's another to actually practice it. And I appreciate you being able to bring that to the table. So here at this point, we're going to do a little bit of a roundtable, right? And just kind of talk about some conversational points here, and would love to be able to get your different perspectives in these questions. And so we're going to dive right in. The first question that I'm going to ask everyone here is, how do we keep safety, gun safety in particular, above politics? Everything right now, as we know in society, has a habit of being polarized, has a habit of getting out there, right, left, somewhere in between. Safety. But how can we do efforts or things in a local way that keeps us above the politics of it all?
Well, I mean, I'll jump right in. As a gun owner, the first time I bought my rifle when I turned 18. As soon as I turned 21, shortly after my birthday, I think in April, I brought my first pistol. And so for me, this is not a political discussion. This is just about safety. And I think a lot of times the politics is really a distraction. Are you right? Are you left? Are you red or are you blue? To me, it doesn't matter. Are you safe? Michigan has such a rich and vibrant gun culture, as we have so many hunters here. I lived in Georgia for 10 years, and so that's where I bought most of my firearms when I lived in Georgia. And that's such hunting ritual and competitive marksmanship. And so keeping the focus on safety I worked at a summer camp, and we had a phrase that said, safety's last. And then somebody goes, what? It's like, safety's last, safety's first, safety's all up in the middle. And so keeping the conversation focused on how do we keep people safe, and then making sure that we have laws that reflect those. When someone violates what gun owners knows to be safety, we need laws so that our law enforcement officers can enforce laws to help protect safety. Growing up in Detroit, occasionally on 4th of July, people fire random shots in the air. Well, what goes up must come down. And we've lost lives in the city of Detroit, kids in the city of Detroit and around the U.S. because of that. And so we need to make sure that we teach people safety. And then when people break the rules, we empower our law enforcement to do their job.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael. Spencer?
Oh, yeah. For me, the work that Moms Demand Action has done has actually been really great for me. I've volunteered with the organization before I ran for office even. What I love about the work that they've done is that their focus is on safety. And for those who are directly affected by gun violence or by these types of accidents, they make sure that you have a group of people who can share those stories with the community. Because there are some people who may not understand yet just how important that safety is. And so to be able to learn from others, to be able to hear from it is something amazing. And that's something that made me realize just the importance of these types of events. And so thank you for that. And, like you said, everything is so political. We're thankful in Mount Clemens, like many cities, where we are nonpartisan in nature. And so thankfully, many of the initiatives that we're able to do are above politics, and we're able to take issues that sometimes can be hot button and bring them down. And safety is just one of those things that no matter where you stand, no matter what you believe in, we all should, and most of us do, care about keeping ourselves safe, keeping our children safe, keeping our families and neighbors safe. And that's really what this comes down to. How do we keep our community safe, no matter who you are? Because that's what it's all about.
Excellent. I appreciate what you brought up there. Both of you kind of focused and were able to really kind of talk about some things that I think are extremely important. One, supporting groups that are really doing hard work, and they're putting together the training, really working hard to go out and get into the community, get into our schools, get in, and really be able to talk through that this is a safety issue that at the end of the day, it impacts all of us. And it's not right, left, it's not any of those hot button kind of issues. It's something that impacts us all, and it's something that we all need to take a base level understanding and appreciation and a sense of compliance and obedience, that we want to keep our society safe. We want to keep our community safe. And how can we best do that? And it's best that we keep ourselves focused on the eye on the prize, so to speak, of the safety of it all. And all the other things will melt away, I think, once we focus on that. And I think you guys did a great job of highlighting that. So thank you. So the next question I want to talk through with this group is, we're doing an initiative here in June, right? And obviously this is a great thrust. We want to be able to out there and get these gun locks out and get awareness out during the month of June. But want to kind of talk through is, how can we as leaders, how can our communities be able to create long-lasting impact, something that lasts, far beyond just June?
Well, we at Moms Demand Action, we table at several events. We might go to art festivals, suicide events, different community gun lock giveaways like this. So we are there. We have information. We have support for survivors. We have information on suicide. We provide gun locks and information about how to be smart with your weapons, to secure them. And also, what's important too is, if you're going to have your child spend the night over someone's house or go to someone's house, you need to ask them if they have any weapons and if those weapons are secured. Weapons are all over, and we need to make sure we have to just make common conversation, put this as part of our conversation.
Excellent. So I really like what you really were able to kind of emphasize, that consistency and regular conversation. We need to normalize safety and make sure that that's part of our regular everyday conversation when we interact and communicate, and the consistency of just not doing it just in June, but going through all these various events throughout the year. Again, appreciate the work that Moms Demand Action does. Hal?
Yeah, so we're talking about responsibility and safety. So one thing is that we've had many incidents of gun violence. These mostly could have been prevented had people used gun locks and followed gun safety protocols. And recent state laws have been updated and people need to know about them. So part of responsibility is knowing the law, as well as how to handle guns safely, separate the ammunition in a safe, separate the guns in another safe, use a gun lock on the guns. But also, I'm really impressed with how Commissioner Howard is looking to set up the event that we're planning on doing jointly. He's planning on making it a community event and having like more like entertainment and stuff there. And we've gotten a great response from our community. For instance, the Warren Crime Commission is asking, can they please table at our event? And we're working with Janet John of Moms Demand Action, and we're getting conversations started. CARE of Southeast Michigan is going to participate, and the Live Right Structured Recovery, which is out of Roseville, they help drug addicts to recover and get over even heroin. So, and this is just amazing. It's so nice to be part of the community and to be reaching out, letting the media know, and getting the conversations going, because community building can solve pretty much all of society's problems. If we work together, there's really nothing we can't do.
Yeah, I would say it's consistency. Like, safety is not just a one-time thing. Like as Chief Haynes mentioned, my guns are in a safe, and I have a home alarm system that has a particular thing on my gun safe. So if you were to breach my safe while I'm not there, my phone and watch will go off to let me know that my safe is open. But like we lock our doors, we lock our cars because we want to maintain that safety. And so I think just keeping the conversation going even after an event, this is not a finality. This is the starting line. Gun laws change. We want to make a good push across the county. That's why we have leaders across the county. And so from my perspective, it's just keeping the conversation going. I'd love to hear from a law enforcement perspective, how do this not just be a one-time event, but how do we continue this message going forward?
Thank you. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, we need to be a bigger part of our community, and that's what we've been working on for quite some time now here in East Point. We're showing up at the events. We're more part of the community. We have a school resource officer now where we're actually having an impact on the kids at the school. And we're teaching safety. We're talking about safety every chance that we get within the community. When somebody does become a victim of any crime, we're going to them and we're saying, listen, here's what you could do to prevent this type of thing in the future. And keep the continuing message, like you said, Commissioner, keep the continuing message that safety is not a one-time thing. Safety is about being safe all the time. And the simple things that we do, like the councilman mentioned, in locking our doors and doing the other things that are second nature to us. Putting a gun lock on our guns should be second nature to us for those of us that own guns. Putting them in a gun safe should be second nature. We shouldn't even have to think about it. It should be something that when we get back from the gun range or we get back from hunting, it's just what we do.
Thanks. I appreciate that what you're saying there, Chief, and how important is really the consistency, and it's really the continued actions, and everything here kind of all is intertwined here, right? From what Hal to Mike to what everyone's saying here, Chief, it really is kind of talking about this isn't just this isn't the end goal of just running this program, this initiative, and then once we're done, we pop some balloons and cheer. This is really the beginning, and this is really planting the seed of activity and work that's going to be and should be happening all throughout the course of the year to make sure that this is something that's a consistent part of our way of life here in Macomb County, and hopefully that spreads and continues to go everywhere. The other thing I like that you had mentioned, Hal, and I think I just want to touch on this, it's really the cross collaboration, right? So you talked a little bit about some of the efforts that yourself and Michael Howard are doing to connect and be able to bring in some of these different groups, CARE of Michigan, bring in some different, things that hopefully will be able to bring in more individuals with different, things that are maybe, they're here for care, and then because they come for care, they get a chance to be able to hear more about gun safety and receive a gun lock. That's fantastic, and that cross collaboration and that opportunity for us to be able to share and work with different groups who, again, are just out there to take care of our community. That's got to be a large part of what we do as leaders as we continue to move forward. And then lastly, I'll just personally add, I think we have to really support strong policies, strong laws that make sure that we as citizens, we as residents in the community of Macomb County and of the state, we just continue to support good, strong policy that, again, helps keep, our community safe, helps give us, good guardrails as far as what we should be doing when it comes to safety. I think that's extremely important because that's a really great way that we can keep away from the over politicization, the polarization, the hot topic issues, and we can keep the main thing, and again, that's safety, and that's taking care of our community.
Shannon, I'd like to add, when you ask how do we keep safety above politics and focus on people, I thought about it, and I think gun violence and gun safety are issues that affect people from all walks of life. They truly transcend political differences. This is something we all can get together on.
But Hal, on that note, I think that really is at the base of kind of this whole conversation. This is something that from the beginning to end, to some of the questions and some of the things that were really brought up, safety is something that impacts us all. It impacts our communities. We all want to be able to feel safe. We all want to talk about how do we increase our property value? How do we make our schools better? How do we make our tax dollars go further? And the way that we do that is really realizing at the end of the day that there's common ground. There's no tongue in cheek here with the title of our show, but there's literally common ground that ties all of us together. And we have to realize that the politics, the hot button issues, all those other things have to fall through, and we have to get to the main thing of how do we keep our people safe? How do we continue to do things and get behind things that help move us forward as a people? And once we are better at identifying what those things are, and then once we identify them, really getting behind them, supporting them, like gun safety, like giving out gun locks, like good policy and laws. Once we get behind those things and cheer behind them, then we all start to become a better community and much stronger, in a place where everyone feels like they're thriving and growing.
I just want to add one thing too, Shannon. Everyone has this responsibility. This isn't something that we hope someone else will take care of. Each of us, whether we own weapons, whether we don't, we have a responsibility. And as leaders in our community, we have a responsibility to stay updated on what's happening in Lansing so that we can educate people in our community, to make sure that if we have weapons, make sure that they're safe and they're locked up, and to make sure that we're doing everything we can to just let people know that we all have a shared responsibility here. We cannot pass the buck on this.
Thank you, Mr. Calhoun. I think that's really important that we bring that home, right? Everybody bears some responsibility to this, so it's fantastic.
And one thing too, Shannon, that we do is we offer Be Smart presentations to any organization that would like them, that would help explain gun safety and secure storage and the different laws that are in place. So that is something that we offer, and we will also have the information available at each of our gun giveaways, gun lock giveaways. Sorry.
Well, Janet, where are some of those, when you do some of those presentations, where are some of those locations that you might do some of those? Is that?
Well, we have suicide prevention. So we've gone to different resource fairs, made connections with different members of the community. So, in fact, we're getting Macomb back up and running with Moms Demand Action. So we're very excited to be partnering with you guys and to continue to make relationships, good relationships with the community and business leaders, and continue to keep everyone safe.
And,
Thank you.
You talk about suicide prevention and knowing that our vets fought for us overseas, and I just believe that we should fight for them here. And sometimes I think we can fight for them here better because sometimes they feel like they only have one other option, and it's a tragic one. And so we're not even talking about people that don't know or don't understand how to secure firearms. I think our veterans and our military personnel know better than most of us, right? And but it's also how can we protect those that might be vulnerable and just spread the message. One of the things I love about Commissioner Calhoun is, he was on a call and someone said, "Hey, what if you do 2?" And so now we talked him into doing 1, and now he's looking at doing 2 in his own community, because gun violence knows no zip code, knows no boundary. And so if you want to speak towards that at all.
Yeah, absolutely. In Mount Clemens, we're hoping for, I believe, June 7th and 8th. At 2 locations in Mount Clemens to hold a gun lock giveaway event. I'm working to bring other groups in. As you mentioned, your event will have different vendors, and so we've got a lot of community partners in Mount Clemens. It's one of the great things about our community. So hoping to bring them in and to create more spaces for people in our community to come in and have open conversation about the importance of this. Like you all said, we have to talk more about suicide prevention, gun violence prevention, about safety. If we don't talk about these things, tragedies will continue to happen. And so I'm hoping that I can play a small role in keeping our community safe by holding these 2 events and by continuing to keep this top of mind for people in our community and finding new ways to support our law enforcement partners as well.
Appreciate what you're doing there, and not to be outdone, we'll have to work to do some things differently here in Clinton Township to make sure we match what our friends are doing in Mount Clemens. It's all in a good way. Really appreciate your hard work, because it's extremely important that we're out there. To your point, we're all driving home. It's about prevention. We can't. We all know what it feels like to deal with the tragedies. We know what that brings, that pain. We know what that lasting feels like. And the best way that we can stay away from those instances is that we really work and are working in a strong sense of prevention. And we are normalizing safety. We are taking responsibility in our own community. We are working hard to normalize this conversation, support good policy, and support good leaders who are, trying to push these things out, not just for a photo op, but something that's really out there and is part of who they are as leaders. And I think that's something that we all need to make sure that we're really working hard to do, in particular with some of the things that we've got going on in our society. Mr. Howard, I really want to say thank you for bringing up our veterans, because that's something that, to your point, I think we all know there's ways and aspects that we could be supporting them better, and keeping that top of mind of those vulnerable groups who do suffer from different aspects of tragedy. We need to make sure that that's also top of mind while we're going through these things, to make sure we've got the right outreach, we've got the right communication, we're supporting the right things that gets the support out there that's desperately needed.
Yeah, and on the point of veterans, when I ran for Warren City Council, I wanted better services for veterans, and one of the things I found is that there are many support groups that are very supportive of veterans, and where veterans who were really feeling down and out and were isolated found out that they had brothers and sisters who were glad to have them join in on their activities, who found a whole second lease on life. And I care very much about that because my dad, when my mom divorced him, he had a gun and he had been threatening to take his own life, which is very common. It's like half of suicides or something are usually by gun, with a gun. So my mom took the gun with her when she left him so that he wouldn't commit suicide. And it's a huge issue that needs to be addressed. We can't be real quiet about it. It needs to be spoken out loud and say, we have help. We will connect you. And this is just one of many great reasons that just fill my heart with gladness that we're here. Thank you all for being here. Thanks. I thank the audience for taking your time to listen carefully to what we're saying, and I hope this benefits you.
Hal, thank you so much for sharing your personal circumstances. I appreciate you being able to be open and being able to share. I know that could be challenging, but being able to share that realness and to be able to connect with, with our audience, with our community. I'm sure that they have circumstances and issues that have happened in their lives that they can, that they can think about and understand why it's so important that we're out here today talking about these things and normalizing conversation around it so we can make sure that things are, the tragedies that we're trying to prevent don't happen. So on that note, I would just want to say thank you to you, Hal, but I want to say thank you to our esteemed group here that we have of leaders here within our community. Thank you for all the hard work and the efforts that you do and everything that this initiative is going to kick off. I know that it's just a start of a lot of good efforts and work that's going to be helping to strengthen our communities and be able to make Macomb County stronger and better and to make your individual, cities, townships better as well. So with that being said, I want to say thank you, and thank you for joining us on our latest episode of Common Grounds.